Are
we recording? All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Suzanne Clausen. I'm the owner, along with my co-owner, Steve Clausen of CruiseOne in Sholo, Arizona. And we provide vacation planning as personalized and attentive as the vacation itself. So I opened my agency in 2012, and I won't go through all the details on this, but the big one on here is just this September, I earned my Master Cruise Counselor. That was over a year of work, a lot of certifications, a lot of training, and it just means that I am a dedicated travel professional with a lot of training and experience. I'm also an Avalon Waterways specialist, as well as being certified in their other brands, Globus and Cosmos and Monograms. I have more than 45 years of cruising experience. And you can see that's me. I look like Donny Osmond in that picture. And so we're here to talk about river cruising and to talk about why it really is the best way to travel through Europe. So we're going to talk a little bit about apples and oranges. So with river cruising being an apple and maybe an ocean cruise being an orange, they're both fruit, they're both delicious, but there's certain things that you do with one then you wouldn't do with the other. So they both have luxury, variety of travel experiences. You can be as laid back or as active as you want on either one. But the river cruise difference is that you're going to have a continuously changing landscape through areas with rich history. You're going to have shorter stretches of sailing during the day, which means more time to interact with your destination. And excursions and onshore activities are included with the price of your cruise. You dock right in the heart of a historic city or small town, like in the case of Dürnstein that was behind Steve in the picture, little small town on the Danube. And you're going to be traveling with, instead of 2,500 to 5,000 of your best friends, you're going to be on a ship with about 150 to 198 guests. Just a little bit more about the comparison and the inclusions that Avalon Waterways have. They have sparkling wine with breakfast. And Steve said, oh, I should have gone to breakfast more. They're going to have, and this is a nice thing, regional beer and wine with lunch and dinner. Instead, now this is a little bit older graphic. It says bottled water in every stateroom. What they actually do is they now have a aluminum reusable bottled water that you can take home with you. And they have a bottled water station where you can actually put infused mineral waters in the beverage station. You have a choice in all ports of shore excursions. All your rooms are going to be outside. They all have windows. And of course, 85% of the cabins on the Avalon Waterways ship have the open air balconies that you see behind me. You get unlimited premium coffee and tea, complimentary Wi-Fi, a choice of dining like with open seating. So there's a couple different places you can choose to eat, robes and slippers, premium bath amenities, and fruit and cookies available throughout the day. So that talks a little bit about Avalon. And I like to say that all river cruise companies are not created alike. There's one particular company that everybody's heard of. They market like crazy. They're on TV and people seem to think that they are the be all end all of river cruising. And I like to say that maybe Avalon is the red apple and the other one is the green apple. So they all look alike on the outside because they all have to fit through the same sets of locks and go under the same bridges. So from the outside, there's not that much different. And they all kind of have these same checklists. They include wine, Wi-Fi. A lot of river cruise lines have bicycles that you can check out. They include tours and excursions and have knowledgeable local guides. But when you kind of peel the layers back, you can really see that there's a big difference. And one of the big differences is the rooms on Avalon Waterways. So I'm going to show you a little video that'll explain to you the difference between their rooms and the rooms that you get on a leading competitor ship.
The sweet ships of Avalon, designed from the ground up with an attention to detail river cruising has never seen before. There's nothing quite like river cruising no matter who you cruise with, but there are some pretty big differences between companies, starting with how they look at staterooms. And our one-of-a-kind panorama suite is proof of our innovation, our imagination, and our desire to create a smarter use of space. To give you some perspective of how much better our staterooms are, we're comparing them to the average river cruise cabin. Here's the average window, roughly 7 feet wide, with an opening under 4 feet. Here's our window, nearly 11 feet wide, floor to ceiling, wall to wall. And when it opens, it really opens, wide enough to let the outside in, because the opening is a full 7 feet, almost twice the size of the others. It's the largest standard window in river cruising. Now, let's take a look at the bed of the average cabin. It faces the wall, not much to look at there. We had a much better idea. What if we angled the wall and turned the bed? That little change gives you the perfect perspective of the amazing views out your window. We then turned our attention to the balcony. Here's the average river cruise balcony. Seems like a nice idea, but as far as we can tell, there's not a lot of room for people to enjoy the views out there. And they had to take space from your stateroom to create that small deck space outside. So here's our better idea. Reclaim that space, push the window out, add a spacious dining and seating area for up to 6 adults, combine it with the largest sliding glass door in the business, and voila, you have an open-air balcony, the only one of its kind in river cruising, and you can enjoy it day and night, no matter the weather. Plus, you'll enjoy a lot more livable space, a full 200 square feet. We gave our room an attention to detail unmatched in the industry. We offer comfort collection beds, plenty of easily accessible storage, and we even added sound dampening insulation in our walls to make it less likely you'll hear your neighbors or they'll hear you. And we didn't stop with the room. We turned that same attention to detail to the bathroom. We took a look at the bathroom of the average ship and we knew we could do better. By angling the wall, we opened up more space in the bathroom. Then we took our newfound space and we made it luxurious. We have a large tile shower with glass doors, marble countertops, premium fixtures, L'Occitane bath amenities, and shelves to store all your necessities. And the best part is that there aren't just a couple of these staterooms on our ships, reserved for those who want to pay more. 80% of the staterooms on our suite ships are panorama suites. And once you leave your suite, you're likely to find fewer people on our suite ships. Because with our bigger staterooms, there is less capacity for passengers, which means more space everywhere you go. As you can see, more has gone into the amazing panorama suites, so you can get so much more out of them. We invite you to compare, and you'll see there's no comparison.
All right, I think that is a great explanation of the difference between rooms, but here's another graphic to kind of give you a visual. The main thing you're going to see a difference is the full-size bathroom. Steve's a pretty big guy and the shower was very comfortable for him. If you look at these bathrooms on the leading competitor, they are tiny. And this room is 200 square feet, including the balcony. This is a French balcony on the leading competitor. It's 150 square feet. So you can see you really, really have a much better use of space with these suite ships on Avalon. So that's a picture that's behind me. This is the suite that we had on our cruise that we just returned from. And like I said, we had that window open a lot. Even though it was October and it was cool at night, it still was very comfortable in the room with the window open. I wanted to show you the storage with stuff in there. So we were able to get 2 huge suitcases worth of stuff unpacked into the closets there. So there's plenty of closet space. And there's a nice stand on either side of the bed. And there's that bathroom. You can see there's a generous amount of counter space on either side of the sink. And the sink and the toilet aren't all like right next to each other. There's plenty of room in the bathroom. I talked to a longtime client of mine who years ago took a river cruise. And I said, what was the bathroom like on that? She said, oh, it was tiny. You could do everything all at once. So she said it was really tiny. So these nice large bathrooms really make the river cruise experience much more comfortable. So every Avalon ship has 2 royal suites on it. I just booked one of these for our French river cruise that we're doing. But if you're interested in having a little bit more room, there are 300 square feet. There's a window here and a window here. There you see it in this picture down here.
Sliding glass doors, not windows.
Yeah, the what do you call the French balconies, the open air balconies. And you'll see that the bathroom here is split. There's a potty room and then there's a regular part, the rest of the bathroom. So it's actually a split bathroom. So it's nice if someone is trying to brush their teeth or do their hair, they're in this room, and the person using the facilities is in a completely separate room, which is kind of nice. This is what the top deck of the ships look like. I want to show you that it's like this indoor-outdoor carpet. So you have no fear booking on deck 3. You will not hear traffic or scraping of chairs or anything if you're right underneath that. As a matter of fact, I think that's the place to be because you're a little bit higher up, gives you a little bit better views. This is that beverage lounge, that or additional lounge that's on the back, and I specifically put pictures in there, and I'll refer to it later when we get to a different part of the presentation. This is where you get those infused mineral waters in your reusable aluminum water bottle. You get 24-hour snacks, hot tea, everything. It's a nice beverage center. This is the Panorama Lounge, and they do have a bar in there, as well as a musician that plays nightly, and sometimes even midday he'll play. It's a wonderful place because it's called the Panorama Lounge for a reason, because of the panoramic views that you have from in there. The ships do have a gymnasium, and there you see Steve is actually being a good boy and working out on the treadmill in the gymnasium, and there were some free weights in there as well. They also have, you need to use the gym because they also have, in the afternoons, they have tea with sweets in the afternoons. And for some reason, I didn't get a lot of good pictures in the main dining room, but this is the very last night of our cruise when they were introducing the staff. And I'll never forget, our cruise director told us that when they announced the laundry lady, give her a big cheer because she doesn't always get recognized. So that's Svetlana there. She's our laundry lady. We all gave her a big cheer. It was a wonderful crew on our ship as well. So another unique thing about Avalon is they have 3 different ways to enjoy your destination. And I'll go over what each is. Now, I've actually recreated these slides with my own photographs from our trip last week on our Danube River cruise. Our classic tour of Budapest included highlights and history of the city. And then we had free time with a stop on the Buda side of the hill overlooking the Pest. And we got to take some pictures, and the guide covered the history, the architecture, the culture of the city. Now, another example of a type of tour that they offer on Avalon is a discovery tour. We chose to do this one this was the second half of the day, on that second day in Budapest, and we did wine tasting in the Hungarian countryside. And this was definitely a highlight for us. We learned so much about the history of wine in the area and how the industry recovered from the communist era, when it was all about production and not quality, and how they've been able to produce high quality wines in that area in the last 40 years or so. Active. So this is an example of an active excursion. It's hosted by that's our activities host. He was the guy that does the exercise and stuff for us. He actually picked up a rock and climbed up the hill with a rock in his hand. I guess Mr. Fitness. We did not carry any rocks up the hill, but there we are on top of the hill in Dürnstein. And this type of tour is included in the cost of your cruise. We love this. We had a guide going up the hill with us the whole way, a local guide that explained to us all about Richard the Lionhearted and all that kind of stuff. So it was a really, really interesting experience. There's also, you have some choices with dining. You can dine in that Panorama Lounge, and it's what they call the Panorama Bistro. That's where we had our lunch the first day. And a couple of people in our group would dine up there, just in the evenings, just because they wanted to have kind of a different dining experience. But also, weather permitting, they will have al fresco dining at the Sky Grill up on that deck 3. That was fabulous for us. And then they have the less formal, well, I already talked about the Panorama Bistro. They have a main dining room where you have full service. They also have room service. And the nice thing about Avalon is that differentiates them from the leading competitor is that they are going to have regional cuisine at every meal. So there's always continental choices, but you also have a choice for a regional cuisine. That's part of the Avalon Fresh program, where they are curating their produce and a lot of their food locally. That menu was designed by these two gentlemen. They own a vegetarian gourmet restaurant in Vienna. And I don't want you to think that everything's vegetarian, but it's an emphasis on Steve was not a vegetarian. He would not have been happy if it was all vegetarian, but the emphasis is on healthy, fresh, local ingredients. And I have some pictures of some of that food. So yeah, let's get to the food porn. Here we go. Here's the filet mignon that was on the menu every night. Or was that, Steve, you'll have to correct me. Was that the filet, or was that the
That was the tenderloin. That wasn't the
beef tenderloin? Same idea, but it was cooked as a roast, right? And then this was a Hungarian chicken dish with Hungarian like dumplings, kind of like spätzle. And this was a broth with Hungarian potato dumplings in it. In Vienna, I ordered the Wiener Schnitzel and the Avalon Fresh pumpkin. It was a savory pumpkin strudel, because I thought that sounds really good, and it was delicious. And in Budapest, I had these little cute little cabbage rolls. Okay, we've got somebody else that's coming in. Okay.
No, Kim just crashed.
Oh, somebody just crashed. Okay. Hopefully, see if you can get let her in, whoever that is. Oh, wait, hang on. I skipped a slide. I skipped 2 slides. I'm trying to get. It's not going. Maybe it's just slow.
Kim's
So
back.
lunch. Okay, so lunch buffets. Oh, it's getting ahead of me is what it's doing. Let me just hit it one time. Come on. There we go. Lunch buffets. So we had Hungarian goulash one day. They always had a carving station. They often had fish. They had incredible French fries, and you could order the French fries fresh cooked, as well as getting the ones that were already on the buffet. Then this was a nice thing about another example of regional cuisine. When we arrived in Bavaria that day, they had a Bavarian lunch for us. So they had the Bavarian flag and all the wonderful sausages and fried fish. It was fabulous.
Yeah.
So we did one section. We did Budapest to. Oops, why am I getting ahead of myself? I'm not hitting these buttons, and it's going. I don't know why it's going.
Must be on automatic.
No, I don't think it is. I don't know what it's doing. Okay, let me go back one more. So this is an example of the great rivers of Europe. I think I'm just ahead of myself. I don't know. It's like one behind, so I'm clicking it twice. There we go. That's much better. So you can see that Avalon Waterways cruises all the great rivers of Europe. And in October 11th of 2019, we are doing this cruise as a group cruise it's going to be amazing. It goes from Zagreb to the Black Sea, and it covers 8,000 years of European human history. What's the question, Bob?
Are you going back in time? You said 2019.
Oh, I'm sorry. October 11th to the 19th in 2022.
Oh, I thought maybe you had a way back.
Yeah, I was going to go back to 2019 and fix all the problems that we have now. How about that?
I don't want to read both.
Okay, so it covers 8,000 years of human history, and I can't wait to show you the slides because it visits places that you didn't know that you want to visit. And when you see the pictures of the places that this cruise goes, you will be amazed.
Yeah, so just to be clear, she had that slide about Europe. We can deal with any of the rivers, any of the cruises that Avalon does. So we're trying to share a little bit today about Avalon, and then in particular, 2 special group cruises that we're doing that we have special pricing on, and taking a group along because the groups are kind of fun. But if you have desires to do other places in Europe, we can deal with that too.
Yeah, and I meant to spend a little more time on that slide, and I was having technical difficulties, but I wanted to show you that they go all over Europe. They go on the Rhine, they go on the Main, they do cruises in France. So there's lots of different choices with Avalon Waterways. So let's keep going. This cruise starts in Zagreb, Croatia, and it's a really unique itinerary because you fly into Zagreb, you spend the night at the hotel in Zagreb, and then you get a tour of Zagreb the next day, and then a transfer to the Danube River where you board the ship. All of those things are included in the price of the cruise. It's an 8-day package, so you have 1 night in Zagreb, 6 nights on the river, and then 1 night in Bucharest at the end of the cruise. One of the things they highlight here is to explore this pedestrian street. And if anyone can pronounce that, I will, I'll give you $5. I have no clue how to pronounce that, but it's a wonderful cafe street with all kinds of little places to eat, outdoor dining, lots of shops, very, very interesting opportunity to visit that street when you arrive in Zagreb. And the next day you'll get a classic tour that will include all the city highlights. The next day you visit Golubac and Donji Milanovic. And this is where those 8,000 years of history come into. In this area, they have found this archaeological site where they have ruins of an 8,000-year-old human settlement. It's one of the earliest settlements known of humans in Europe. Also on this day, you visit this wonderful fort. It's called the Golubac Fort. And you also pass through the gorge area that's known as the Iron Gates. So you'll pass by some castles like this. This carving is one of the largest rock carvings in all of Europe. So those are some scenic things that you don't want to miss on this day. And it's really, really spectacular scenery. You go through a lock to go through this because the Iron Gates used to be one of the most treacherous parts of the Danube. And throughout history, special guides, local guides would guide ships and barges through this area. And it was in the 60s and 70s where they started building hydroelectric power plants along the Danube, but they were able to build a dam that made the flow of the river consistent enough that it wasn't these treacherous currents and this big drop in elevation in this one area. So that is the Iron Gates Gorge. It's going to be an amazing day of sailing through that. The next day, the ship visits Belgrade, Serbia. And Belgrade is known for several things. One, this amazing fortress that's here, but also their Orthodox cathedral, which was completed in the 1990s. So you would think that this is a very old building, but it's actually built, it's sort of a triumph over communism because the building was slow during the communist period. Next, we have Vidin, Bulgaria. And this is an opportunity to take a tour. The neat thing about this cruise is that the classic tours include many excursions that take you a little bit inland. So it might be an hour inland to visit Belogradchik, but of course that excursion is included in the price of your cruise. And you go to see this wonderful fortress that was built during the Roman times and then reinforced and continued to be used in medieval times. It's built right into the side of the rocks on these 200-million-year-old rock formations. The next day, the ship docks in Rus, which gives you an opportunity to either tour the town of Rus or visit Veliko Tarnovo and the Arbanasi excursion. So this is the town of Rus. There's plenty of amazing things to see there. There's a bicycle tour hosted by the activities host. But if you're into history and culture and you like fortresses, you probably would want to do this classic tour. This is Veliko Tarnova, and the guy that was carrying the rock up in Dernstein on our tour, that's where he completed his education. There's apparently a university here. So when I told him we were coming there next, he was like, oh, that's like practically my hometown. This fortress is also located there. And then this is the 15th century church that is in the town of Arbanasi. Next, we've got Constanta, Romania. And Constanta is on the Black Sea. So you actually take a canal that connects the Danube to Constanta, because the Danube Delta then flows down and it's more of a natural area. They don't want to disturb that with river ships. And because it's a delta, there's going to be a lot of silt. It's probably not navigable. So they have a canal that takes you there. The main attraction in Constanta is their archaeological and natural history museum. And they have all kinds of artifacts that date back to pre-Roman times in this area of the world. So really a chance to learn about human history on this vacation. If that's not your thing, you can always explore the town independently or even book an independent excursion to do something else. So I'm into all that. So that sounds really cool to me. The ship then backtracks to the town of Cernavodă, and you disembark there where you're transferred to Bucharest. The other night, my husband and I were watching a movie, and it was sort of like this international assassins kind of thing. And they had a scene and the camera panned, and I go, that's Bucharest, because this building right here was in the movie that we were watching. There's plenty of just amazing architecture, history, that you'll see the squares where they protested against Ceausescu. And then you also have some free time to explore on your own the town of Bucharest, where you can see the beautiful homes, the churches along Victory Avenue.
And we'll actually spend a night in a hotel in Bucharest.
Yeah, you spend the night in a hotel, and that's included in the price of your trip. So I want to let you know that there's a couple other ways that you can book this if you are interested in expanding your trip. The first one is a trip that you actually fly into Dubrovnik. You spend 2 nights in Dubrovnik, 2 nights in Split, and then 2 nights in Zagreb. Whereas if you do the cruise only, it's 1 night in Zagreb, 1 night in Bucharest. So that's one option. Another option is you can extend your cruise to Transylvania, and you actually go to Vlad the Impaler's castle if you do the 2 extra nights in Transylvania.
You get dinner in the castle.
You get dinner in the castle. It's an amazing experience. So I wanted to show you that. You can also, because of the way it's packaged with the pre and post nights, you can book it as quote unquote cruise only. And the embarkation and debarkation in the cities that you're flying into are big cities with major airports. So they've done it that way to make it very convenient for you to take the tour. So here's the pricing. We're hosting this cruise in October of 2022. It starts October 11th if you do the 8-night package. If you do those pre and post, of course, or if you do the pre, of course, it's going to start 5 days earlier. So these categories B, A, and P are all the panoramic suites that we showed in that little video. The suites D and E are really good for people who are maybe traveling by themselves and don't want to pay the extra to be in the panoramic suite. They are slightly smaller than the panoramic suite because and they only have fixed windows. So I would recommend doing the panoramic suite. We absolutely loved ours. And this is the price per guest with the cruise.
There's no single supplement on this one, right?
I believe that this is one that there is a no single supplement on. Yes. So if you are a single, you just pay the upgrade price to a suite for one person. You pay this price plus, so you pay this basically. There is, if you want to add the 4-day Croatia extension pre-cruise, it's $16.50 per person, and the Transylvania 3-post is $4.91 per person.
I think that Croatia was 5 days, so I think that's wrong.
Is it 5? Is it? Yeah, I think it is 5 days because you get the extra day in Zagreb. Yeah, you're right. It is a 5-day. It is a 5-day extension. So another example, and one that we're also hosting, is this wonderful cruise for wine lovers in France in 2023. It starts in Burgundy and goes down to Port St. Louis. And Avalon has a wonderful experience on board for people who love wines. on our little cruise, which wasn't even a wine lovers cruise, we went through the Wachau Valley, which is a wine producing region of Austria. And our tour director arranged for a local winery to come on board and do a wine tasting with us. This was complimentary. Of course, he had some of his wine to sell. So it was good. So we bought some. We really, really enjoyed this. And on the wine lovers cruise, so the cruise in France is what they call Burgundy and Provence for wine lovers. They will have a master of wine on board to host several different tasting experiences, including food and wine pairings and wine and cheese tastings. We're also going to have our some winemaker hosts on there with us. So this is Dave and Lisa Dinsmore. They are co-owners of the award-winning Ascension Cellars in Paso Robles, California. And they're going to be on along with us, who will be there as your travel host. And we will have some special events on board just for members of my group. So it won't be things that will be for the ship wide. We're planning to have it either up on the sun deck, which if the weather's permitting, that would be really nice, or to use that aft lounge that had the beverage center, because it's kind of a semi-private area. Of course, we wouldn't be able to let we can't put up a sign that says don't come in, but we would be able to host the wine tasting for our group. And what we're looking at doing is buying some local wines in Burgundy and Provence, because hey, I heard they had good wines, they have very good wine. And having Lisa, who is a wine tasting expert, conduct a few wine tastings just for the people in our group. All during the pandemic, Lisa hosted Sunday sippings on YouTube and Facebook, and she is very, very knowledgeable about a broad spectrum of wine and very good at providing educational presentations. And we learned a lot from her. There was one presentation, I haven't even heard of the grape, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. So it's going to be really nice to have their input on here as an additional resource for wine expertise. And of course, Steve and I will be on there as your travel host to make sure that every part of your vacation exceeds expectations. I'm recommending that rather than just doing the 7-night cruise, that everybody strongly look at booking this pre-cruise extension in Paris. Even if you've been to Paris, if you think about it, it's going to be way more convenient to fly into Paris than Lyon. You would have 2 nights in a hotel in Paris that's included, a half-day sightseeing tour, and then free time on your own. Then they take you on a high-speed train from Paris to Beaune, where you get to tour the famous Hotel Dieu, which is a historic charity hospital in Burgundy. And if you ever see pictures of kind of like things to do, things to see in Burgundy, this building is always pictured. They have dioramas of what the hospital looked like when it was in use. I think it was the 16th and 17th century. It was used as a hospital. It might have gone even almost to the 20th century when they were using it as a hospital. And then it includes your transfer to the ship. So that's $8.99 per person. And if you think about it, you're probably going to save on your air by flying into Paris rather than Lyon. And you're not going to have to worry about your transfers. You're going to be able to spend that extra time in Paris. We are definitely doing this extension. This is the way to do it. So this is Saint Jean de Lausanne. My French is terrible. If someone speaks better French than me, please correct me. This is where we embark. So if you don't do the Paris extension, you fly into Lyon, and then it's about an hour-and-a-half transfer to the embarkation port. We'll have a welcome aboard reception, and overnight we'll start cruising to Macon. Now the next day we'll still be cruising to Macon in the daylight. So we'll enjoy the scenery along that way. There will be a lecture by the Master of Wine as we're sailing. And then the discovery excursion that's offered in that port is a visit to a Chardonnay wine cellar. The next day we visit Lyon. This is where you can do the discovery tour, where you do like a culinary tour of Lyon. That might be the next day. That is the next day. So we have wine and cheese tasting hosted by the Master of Wine. We're going to have an architectural tour as well as a classic tour. And then this looks very interesting to me. They're going to have a guest lecturer come on board to talk about World War II and the French resistance on board the ship, which sounds really interesting to me. Day 4 is our second day in Lyon. This is where you get that culinary walk through Lyon because it's a gastronomic capital. It's also a chance to take a tour of Beaujolais. The Beaujolais is harvested in September and released November 18th. So what I don't know is if you take that tour, are you going to be able to taste it? Maybe they'll let you do a barrel tasting because it's not going to be quite ready for release, but they might be able to do that. And then that evening, there'd be more food and wine pairing hosted by the Master of Wine. Next day, you go to Tournon. And this is a chance, this is a day where it's split. So you spend the morning in Tournon, and you can take a hike up to the vineyards with the activities host, or you can visit the town's medieval highlights. Then in the afternoon, you go to Viviers, and this is a chance to explore the village of Viviers. And one of the highlights of that village is this Romanesque cathedral and the old town. And this is Avignon. I've often seen this picture of this bridge that's kind of halfway destroyed, and this fortress. And I always wondered where that was. Well, now I know that's Avignon, France. The classic tour is going to take you to visit all these ramparts and see all these, this amazing fortress. But the discovery tour, if you've always wanted to visit Chateau de Neuf-de-Pape for a true taste of the Rhone region, you can do that as well. This is Arles. This is a town with Roman amphitheater ruins. And this is where you can attend that Vincent van Gogh painting workshop. So if you have any artistic talent, of which I do not, I've done those painting workshops, and my daughter said, wow, that doesn't look as bad as I thought it would. That's how bad my artistic talent is. But if you have any at all, you can go and learn to paint in the style of Vincent van Gogh, which I think sounds really cool. And then you're going to get a walking tour as your classic tour. And if you want to get some exercise, you can go with your adventure host and do that Nordic walking. Port St. Louis is the disembarkation port. So your cruise ends with breakfast and you fly back home out of Marseille. My French is terrible. I never took French. So
It's Marseille.
Marseille. Oh, thank
Marseille.
you. Thank you, Kim. I am welcome to people who correct my bad French. You do have the option of adding a post-cruise extension to Nice. So you could get 2 nights in Nice after your cruise. You can also do the 2 nights in Paris and the 2 nights in Nice if you want to book it that way. Yes, on this one, it's offered both ways. So this is the pricing on this. This includes already our $1,000 per person discount that we have for our group. You do get free prepaid gratuities on this cruise and on the other one because that's our group amenity. And of course, we're going to have our travel hosts and we're going to have the private group events hosted on board. So this is a special offer we have. If you book your 22 or 2023 Avalon cruise with us by November 17th, you will receive an additional $100 per person discount off the price of your cruise just for attending this Zoom event. And if you have a welcome back credit, like I know Sandy and Mike do, it is combinable with that. So it combines with your welcome back credit. So my special Zoom night is combinable with that. So now we'll open up to questions. How'd I do on time? Oh, I went a little bit over. I was trying for 35 minutes. So I talk a lot, but I want to open it up for questions. If anybody has any questions, comments, needs me to answer anything about Avalon Waterways, our experience, we just got off the ship. So any detail, I think hopefully we'd be able to answer just off the top of our heads.
And just to be clear, that $100 per person discount is if you book any Avalon cruise. It doesn't have to be the 2 group cruises.
Right. That is for any Avalon Waterways cruise. And if you didn't see something in this presentation that caught your eye, like I said, they are cruising all the rivers in Europe. So you're not limited to either one of these group offerings that we're having. We just have some special stuff with the group offerings, like the free gratuities and the onboard events, and they're going to be co-hosted by Steve and I.
And on the 2022 cruise, one of the other amenities is 2 drink vouchers per person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so the wine and beer is served at meal times, and then if you're in the lounge and you want to have a drink, we've got on the 2022 cruise, we've got 2 free drink vouchers for everybody in our group.
Suzanne, this is
Yes.
Mary Bittner. I
Oh,
have a
hi,
question
Mary.
for you.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
I'm not really familiar with Avalon. I haven't cruised with them before. What is their, like, if we book this out this far, how are they dealing with COVID, and what's the cancellation policies and things like that?
Okay,
Anything?
so they have, it's a $500 deposit that is non-refundable, but they are offering you can move that at least one time to another cruise of your choice. Final payment is not due until 90 days before sailing. So a leading competitor requires people to be paid in full a year in advance or within like 45 days of booking, whichever is second. So with Avalon, you just pay in full at 90 days. So you only have $500 at risk, and then you can move that to another cruise as long as they have their worry-free booking guarantee.
Okay, thank you.
And they also have a travel protection plan that is cancel for any reason with a future cruise voucher, or cancel for your own personal emergency with a full refund. So if the cruise is paid in full and it's 2 weeks before you're supposed to leave, and God forbid there's a death in the family, or you fall down a flight of stairs and break your leg and you're not going to be able to go on the cruise, you can file an insurance claim and get 100% refund of what you paid. If you just decide, I'm not sure about what's going on with COVID or whatever, and you want to just cancel and reschedule your cruise, you get a future cruise credit that is worth 100% of the value of what you paid. The only thing you would need to repurchase then is if for your next cruise you wanted to be able to have that same cancel for any reason protection, you would need to repurchase your travel protection for the replacement cruise. As far as COVID protocols, I'm glad you brought that up. So right now, and they're not sure how long it's going to continue, but they did announce it for 2022. All guests, and this is simply because of the requirements to get into the countries in Europe, all guests need to be fully vaccinated. It's simply when you're moving from one country to another, or even getting into the countries, the requirements in many countries are that people from the United States that are visiting must be fully vaccinated. You also have to take a negative test a couple days before you depart. Steve and I have found it very convenient. We get it done at the Phoenix airport. A lot of airports have these clinics. October 22, is it going to be required? I don't know, but that's what's currently in place right now, and it's working effectively. And Avalon gives you your test to get back into the United States on the cruise ship, so you don't have to worry about finding a place in Europe. We had our activities manager, I think he must be an EMT as well. He came to our room and gave us our COVID tests, and we were like, okay, we're negative, we're good to go back home. So I think Mike and Sandy were in Globus, which is their sister brand, and they did the same thing. So they arranged that for you. So the only thing you have to arrange is your pre-trip COVID test. And the nice thing about it is, that everybody on your cruise ship is vaccinated and they passed a COVID test before they left their home country. So your odds of getting—
They test the entire crew every week too.
Yeah, they are several times a week, and they did regular temperature tests, and all the crew is vaccinated. So any other questions?
Offhand, I might have asked you that before. Do you know if Avalon has a Baltic states cruise?
Baltic states.
They might not, because I don't know if they're—
That's gonna be an ocean cruise. So there's some cruise lines that do the Baltic states, but they're ocean cruises because it's the Baltic Sea.
Yeah.
Go around there.
Okay. Hmm.
All right, any other questions I can answer? I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see everybody. Okay, so you're on camera. So
And the whole time, did you two screens?
I can see everybody. So yeah,
Oh,
is there any?
Mandy's still there.
Yeah, she's there.
Yeah, there's Mandy. Ah, Oh,
Because she showed up. So
Oh, you
I
want to show your kitty? Oh, how nice.
yay.
Yeah.
see, I still look like I got dumped in a pool. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I don't want to keep you any longer, but I hope you're interested. We'd love to have you join us in either one of the cruises we're hosting. But if those are not the right fit for you, you have my phone number. It's all in my email, but I'll give it to you again. It is 520-310-0396. And I answer the phone. My office hours are generally from 8 a.m. to whenever. Sometimes I'm answering the phone at 3 a.m. if it's an emergency. So feel free to give me a call. I'll be glad to work up a quote for either one of our group cruises or something else. I can consult with you and find something else that might be a better fit for what you're interested in doing for a
And
river
also,
cruise.
as you know, we recorded this session, so if you want to see this again, we can make a link available to recording. We can also make a link to the PowerPoint presentation available too, if you want to study it in more detail.
Yeah. And one more question, Kim.
Yeah, I forgot to ask, how many are in our group so far for the October 2022, or how many cabins or whatever?
Let's see, is it 5 cabins so far we have for October 2022?
5 or 6, yeah.
It's five or 6. I think it's 5 as of today, because we had an early bird session yesterday for a couple people who couldn't make this one. And there was a couple that's already booked from that
We've got-
session.
And we've got 4 already for 23.
Okay, I'm still working on people to come with us.
Yeah, and if you need a flyer or any information, this recording, you can send them a link to this. We can send you a link to the PowerPoint presentation. So there's a lot of different ways that you can share information about either one of the cruises, and the more the merrier. I just say don't wait to book, because people, there's pent up demand, and people who haven't traveled for the last 2 years are going to be ready to travel. So
Yes.
this is the time to book a year in advance. But the thing about Avalon, you don't have to pay in full until 90 days before your departure.
And then like, ocean group cruises, we have guaranteed pricing here, but we don't have guaranteed cabins. So that if the cabins sell out, even though we have pricing, we can't get them.
Right. So like if all the P's
Since
sell
it's such a
out,
small ship, they don't allocate actual cabins to us like they do on an ocean cruise.
Suzanne, this is Mandy. I do want a
Hi.
quote for the Burgundy double
Okay.
occupancy one.
okay,
It won't be John with me, so
okay,
we already have.
okay.
He has to work on our wine making.
Okay. So Burgundy and Provence, do you want to include the pre-cruise Paris package?
Actually, maybe, but the post one for sure.
Oh, you want to do?
So you
Nice.
might as well include them both.
Okay. All right, I can do that. Okay.
Okay, and a link to that cruise, because some of the other gals were interested and couldn't attend
Oh,
today,
yeah,
and then we
yeah.
can share it with them.
Yeah, I have it up on my website, and I think
Perfect.
we have the information about the pre-cruise Paris package. We just maybe need to add a little information, extended with Nice, and it's this much more. So but I do have a web page for specifically
send a
for
link
that
out to everybody
cruise.
that attended.
Okay. All right.
And so which did you get? Which kind of cabin did you want to get? The panorama one or?
Mandy?
Well, definitely an outside one. Let me go back to that page. I guess we'll have to think more about that, but probably, are we on A or B for the Danube one?
You are all in panorama suites for the Danube cruise.
Which is the P.
You're either A, B, or P. The panorama suites are all A, B, and P. They're all exactly like. The P's are just up on deck 3.
Got it.
But the cabins all look exactly like what's behind me. I do have some pictures of the fixed window cabin that I can send you.
Yeah, we wouldn't want that. It would be P, A, or B. So
Yeah.
maybe the A cabin or something, maybe P, like Steve said, is
Yeah.
fine for the quote.
Well, as long as I can get you not in like the last 4 cabins on each deck. The last 4 tend to be a little bit noisier because they're closer to the engine. So if you had, if you had a choice between a P that was on the very back and a B that was towards the front, I would say do the B,
Makes
so,
sense.
so
Yeah.
I can look at the availability and we can quote it based on that.
Okay, very good. Well, I'm almost a for sure for that Burgundy one.
Is it okay if I just put John's name in there as a placeholder for the quote?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it won't be him.
Okay. He's got to make wine. Yes.
He's already told me he's tempted, but he's committed to something else.
All right.
Thank you, Suzanne and Steve. This was great.
All right. Thanks for coming, Carol. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this and you got a lot of information. Like I said, we'll link this presentation up and the PowerPoint so you can go through it and review things on your own independently. So again, thank you all for coming. And
Thank you.
I look
Thanks.
forward to cruising with you hopefully soon.
Yes,
All right. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Congratulations.
Bye,
on the-
Mandy.
Bye.